Hello, welcome back to Cinderella Math. And today we're going to be going over order of operations, and we're only going to be doing positive numbers and probably even positive whole numbers. I doubt I will do any fractions or decimals. So if this is your first time learning order of operations, this is for you. If you need something a little harder or you need to go with negative numbers, that is going to be on a different video. This is just the positive numbers and positive whole numbers at that. Okay, so order of operations is often abbreviated or there's a saying, PEMDAS. And then there's also a little saying that goes with this. Please excuse, so P-E, my dear Aunt Sally. So if that helps you remember it, feel free. If that doesn't help you, ignore that. That's fine. What is this? So again, if this is your first introduction to order of operations, what in the world are we talking about? If we have an expression, so no equal sign, just a flat expression, like this, 3 times 4 plus 1. I'm going to actually do this twice. If we don't have a specific way to do this, a specific order to do this, we will get different answers. So it might seem like you're just going to do it from left to right, like you're reading a book. So if so, looking at this, I'll call this question A. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. And now that is actually the right answer for this. It's just a coincidence that it went from left to right. It's fine. Let's do it again. And let's call this B. Well, you might think, hey, adding's easier than multiplying. Maybe we add first. 4 plus 1 is 5, and then times 3, which is 15. So see, same expression, different answers. That's bad, right? Math, we usually shouldn't get two different answers. If everybody did it just the way that felt right to them, we could get a bunch of different answers, and that's not good. We want a standardized way to do this. And so that's where PEMDAS, which is kind of a shortcut to say order of operations, comes in. I have also seen this called GEMDAS. I'll explain the difference. I think GEMDAS is a little newer. I'm not old per se, but I'm not young either. So I think PEMDAS is a little bit, you know, kind of outdated. If you hear GEMDAS, it's the same thing. Okay, so what is this? So either the P or the G, what does that stand for? You're going to do parentheses. The G stands for grouping symbols, and the P stands for parentheses, which is a grouping symbol. Okay, so the parentheses, brackets, sometimes they're even curly brackets. If you have a grouping symbol, you do it first. You do whatever's in that group first. That's the P or the G. The E is exponents. I have a video in the middle school playlist on exponents if you need to brush up on those. And then the opposite of exponents, or the inverse of exponents, in the same video, I go over this as well, are roots or radicals. You would do that during this step 2. Okay, and now here's where people mess up. The M stands for multiplying, the D stands for dividing. So yes, the M comes first, but these two actually go together. So they stand for multiply and divide, and they come in the same step, and you're going to go from left to right, like you are reading a book. Okay, so those come in the same step, as do AS. That stands for add and subtract. And again, those are in the same step, and you're going to do them like you're reading a book from your left to your right. Okay? So this is like, you might be overwhelmed. You're like, oh my gosh, look at all those steps. How am I ever going to remember this? That's why there's silly little ways to do this. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, PEMDAS, GEMDAS. If you just write this at the top of every paper that you need to do this process with, you will get it. It just takes practice. It does seem like a lot, but with anything, you can do it with lots of practice. You got this. Okay? All right. Let's just get into some examples. And again, this video is only going to be dealing with positives. I will do one a different day. I don't have it done yet, but eventually I'll do one where I do order operations with both positive and negatives. Obviously that's harder, but today we are just sticking with positive numbers. All right, example 1. Let's do 20 minus 3 times 2. So remember, the dot does mean times. You could also use the X symbol. If you're in more like 5th, 6th, 7th grade, you might still be on the X. Probably after 7th grade, like pre-algebra and higher, you want to move to the dot. So you can see it either way. Okay, there's no parentheses. So no P or no grouping symbol. There's no exponents. And then these two are together. So I even put like a little hug on them to remind me they're together. So go from your left to your right, like you're reading a book, and stop when you hit a multiply or divide. No, 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 stop. Multiply. Let's do that. Do 3 times 2. So 6. Drop the 20, drop the minus. Okay, that was our only multiply or divide, and now we're on add or subtract from left to right. So go left to right until you hit an add or subtract. Subtract. 20 minus 6 is 14. I had a student many years ago said that these kind of look like a piece of pizza, and if you want to circle your answer, there's your pepperoni. So they kind of go in a triangular shape until you get to the answer. You don't have to do that, but feel free. Okay, let's try that again. Example 2. 5 squared times 20 minus 4. Okay. So there is a parenthesis this time. That gets to be done first, that grouping symbol. So do the group first. 20 minus 4 is 16. Drop down the rest. Again, the dot means times. If you feel more comfortable with the X there, feel free to change it. Now, we did the group, we did the parenthesis, we have an exponent. 5 squared, 5 times itself, so 25 times 16. If you're allowed to use a calculator, that'll just depend on your teacher or your parents if you're homeschooled. Feel free. If you're allowed, go for it. If you're not allowed, just grab some scratch paper and work that to the side. 25 times 16 would be 400, I think. Okay, so that one was a little bit harder. Right. I'm going to probably do like 10 examples because these come in lots of shapes and sizes. Next one I have is 40 minus 30 divide 6 times 3. And again, the dots times. No parentheses, no exponents, multiply, divide, left to right. So like you're reading a book, stop when you hit multiply or divide. Oop, hit divide, do that. 30 divide 6 is 5. Drop everything else down. Okay, still on the multiply divide. Let's see if there's any more. Left to right, stop when you hit a multiply or divide. Multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. Drop everything else down. There's no more multiply or divide, so let's go add, subtract, left to right. Stop when you hit an add or subtract. Oops, subtract. 40 minus 15 is 25. And again, kind of see that pizza shape. There we go. Okay, let me see if this gets any harder here. Example 4. 11 minus 3 squared minus 20. So we do have a parenthesis. Do that first. 11 minus 3 is 8, and then you still have the squared. Drop everything else. We do have an exponent. So 8 squared, 8 times itself is 64. And then you just have the one thing left. There's no multiply or divide, so just skip that. Add, subtract. We have a subtract, and that would be 44. Okay. I don't remember what number. Example 5. 16 plus 2 parenthesis 5. Now see how that is not a group. There is only one number in there. That is not a group. That does not stand for parenthesis. When you use a parenthesis with a single number in there, that is actually multiply. That is another way to do multiply. I know it's weird. You'll get the hang of it. We use that a lot in high school math. So I know you may not be in high school math yet, but it's coming. That is just another way for multiply. Okay, minus 35 divide 7. Okay, so there is not a parenthesis. I know you see one, but there is not a group. A group would have more than just a single digit in there. Okay, so no parenthesis, no exponent, multiply or divide, left to right, stop when you hit multiply or divide. Oh, multiply. 2 times 5 is 10. Drop everything else down. Now go again, see if there's any multiply or divide that we didn't get. Left to right, left to right, left to right, divide. 35 divide 7 is 5. Drop everything else down. Okay, that was the end of multiply divide. So now add, subtract, left to right, like you're reading a book. Stop when you hit add or subtract. Oop, add, do that. That's 26, drop down, and then there's just that one problem left. 26 minus 5 is 20. Even if you're allowed to use a calculator, still show the steps, right? Because if you mess up on the calculator and you've cleared it all, you won't be able to catch your mistake, or your teacher won't be able to catch your mistake. Still show the work, even if you're doing the arithmetic in the calculator. Example 6. Okay, let's do 72 divide 9 times parenthesis 3 squared plus 1. Okay, we do have a parenthesis, so you need to do that first. So just pretend this is your problem. You would do 3 squared, so 3 times itself, that's 9, plus 1. So that whole answer at the parenthesis is 10. And then drop down everything else. Okay, so now the red is our problem. We took care of the parenthesis. We did have an exponent, but it was in the parentheses, so there's no more exponents. Now go multiply or divide left to right, like you're reading a book. So left to right, stop when you hit multiply or divide. Oop, there's a divide. 72 divide 9 is 8. Drop down. And then you just have that one problem left. 8 times 10 is 80. Okay. Example 7. I'm going to do it with, it looks like a fraction, but it's not. Let me show you what I mean here. I'm going to do 10 plus 2 squared over 7. So it looks like a fraction, but don't be scared. That's not a fraction. I mean, it is. But this fraction symbol is also a divide. Okay, and again, that might seem weird right now, but we do this all the time in high school math. So just, it's going to start cropping up that it looks like a fraction, but that's really another way to write divide. What you're going to do is just do the top first. Ignore the bottom. So do PEMDAS on the top. There's no parentheses, but there is an exponent. So 2 squared, that would be 4. So the top is now 10 plus 4. Ignore the bottom. And then keep going just on the top. 10 plus 4 is 14. Ignore the bottom. And then at the very end, divide. So this division is going to be your last step here. 14 divided 7 is 2. So this one doesn't quite work out like a pizza, but there you go. Let's do another one that has, it looks like a fraction, but again, it's really not. It's a divide. Okay, let me see here. Let's do, trying to think of something that'll work out nice. Let's do 5 plus 1 to the third power, or cubed, over 12 divide 3. Okay, so treat them separately. So just do the top. There's no parentheses, but there is an exponent. So do 1 cubed, which would be 1 times itself 3 times. So that's just 1. So that's just 5 plus 1, which is just 6. And now ignore that. And now let's just do the bottom. 12 divided 3 is 4. Just bring that. And 6 divided 4. So again, the very last step is division. You can do 6 divided 4. It's a fraction. You can say 1.5, or you could just reduce this fraction. You could divide by 2 and say that's 3/2. Either way. So these do sometimes end up not beautiful whole numbers, and that's okay. All right. I think that's enough. I'm just going to look here at my notes and make sure I hit everything I wanted to hit. Let me do just one with 2 parentheses to show you what to do there. Let's say we have 1 plus 6 squared minus 2 plus 3 times 5. So that does have 2 parentheses. Do them in the same step. So right here, 1 plus 6, that's 7. He still has the square. So just leave that. Minus, look at this parenthesis, it's got a whole bunch of garbage. Follow the order of operations, the PEMDAS, in that parenthesis. So we don't have a well, we do have a parenthesis. We don't have exponents in there. Do we have multiply or divide? Yes, we do. So 3 times 5, that would be 15. Drop the plus 2. 2 plus 15, so that entire answer of the parenthesis is 17. And now that red line is our problem. We have an exponent, 7 squared. 7 times itself is 49. Minus 17 is 32. So if you have both parentheses, you can just do them in the same step. Okay. Okay. Now I think that's pretty much all I wanted to teach here in this lesson. I hope this was useful. Again, I will probably do a second video on order of operations, a harder version once we get into negative numbers as well. But this was just positives. I hope this was helpful and that you're having a great day, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.